How's it going, everyone? I am Russell Clay. We are here again in week 5 to talk about some, starting points for lineup construction. How's it going, Renee?
Going good, Russ. How about you?
Again, I just mentioned before the show, I played the Thursday night slate and I didn't play David Johnson, so things are not going well this morning. I had a long talk with myself last night of just anger. But thankfully I'm not going to let that, you know, slide into this show. We're going to have a good show.
We'll have a good show. You still have time, you have time to recover.
So let's talk about your first starting point here. And it's one that, there's a lot of fantasy points getting scored, but sometimes I don't think people like fantasy points if they're not pretty.
Yeah.
Melvin Gordon certainly scoring a lot of touchdowns, but that yards per carry's down. The Chargers don't look very good. 7,700 on FanDuel is your first starting point against the Oakland Raiders. What are you looking at there?
Yeah, I'm looking to start at the highest Vegas over-under game of the week. A lot of points are going to be scored here. I think that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where the fantasy points come from, and I am one that looks at where they come from. I think that with no competition in this backfield, Melvin Gordon is going to continue to have high volume, and sometimes he's going to do more with it than others, but it's going to be there to the point where I have really high confidence that he's going to score in the 15 to 25 fantasy point range. He's managed to do it every week so far, and I have also plenty of confidence that San Diego is going to be able to move the ball against the Raiders. The Raiders are not a good run defense, and I understand the argument. I understand that if you watch Melvin Gordon, you don't want to play him. But I think he's in a really good spot this week. No, I'm going for it.
I tend to agree. Now, if Danny Woodhead was still in town, obviously we would he probably wouldn't have been scoring all those goal line touchdowns to begin with, but the snaps are just all his. So yeah, and I agree, Rivers going to be able to move the ball. If you're starting a lineup with Melvin Gordon, are you looking at any Raiders to sort of correlate with that game, or are you just going in a different direction?
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders are actually favored here. And the part of the Raiders offense that I'm going after is the passing game. Derek Carr, I think, makes a fine quarterback for this type of lineup. If it's going to shape up to be a kind of safe cash game lineup, I love Derek Carr. Michael Crabtree's out targeting Amari Cooper, and he's, again, this season, the end zone guy. Amari Cooper has yet to score. The way that I'm treating those guys is Michael Crabtree in cash games, Amari Cooper in tournaments. Because honestly, he's only a couple targets behind Crabtree, and I don't think he's going to last the entire season without scoring a touchdown. So he's a guy that could have a big week here. The running game is a mess. I would have been pretty high on Latavius Murray too until he wound up in a walking boot Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, and now he's doubtful, but the team hopes he plays, and there's 2 other running backs there. I think this could be a really messy committee situation, and I know a lot of people are high on DeAndre Washington. I'm really not one of them. I have him in a couple lineups because the salary relief is so nice, but I don't love it.
Stay strong, Renee. I'm here for you. I'm with you.
I'll be on an island.
I'm pretty big in
Washington Island.
Yeah, I'm pretty big into the draft, and I felt like at the beginning, like DeAndre Washington was like a sneaky guy, might make an impact at some point in his career, but like this wave happened of where he's like this, supposed to be a really good prospect now, and I just don't see that. I think he's interesting, but I don't want to put some DFS, a lot of my DFS exposure to him right now. I do agree on Crabtree though.
Team, they're going to throw the ball so much more than they're going to run the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I tend to agree, and Cooper as well. Yes, it will average out. I am with that. But yeah, Crabtree's the guy in the red zone. I mean, I don't think they're even hiding. Yeah, I don't think they're even hiding that. So I'm definitely with you there. I do like that game. I think you can combine it with that Packers and Giants game and feel pretty good. Um, Next guy here, Carson Wentz at quarterback. Coming off the bye, what are we looking at?
Wentz has been a surprise, I think. I mean, I think we were all like, oh my God, what's Philadelphia doing? They were supposed to like give this guy a year or two to adapt to the pros and acclimate and everything. And then all of a sudden he's thrust into this starting role without a lot of preparation, not a lot of preseason prep time. And he's been great. He's been really good. This week, so I respected him the first 3 weeks. I'm using him this week and using him a lot because he's facing the Detroit Lions, who are shaping up to be my favorite defense to target for opposing quarterbacks. We did this last week with Brian Hoyer and Zach Miller. This week, it's Carson Wentz and Zach Ertz. With Ertz back healthy, I think Detroit's allowed 12 passing touchdowns and 6 of them have gone to tight ends. So far, that's pretty remarkable. And it's a situation you definitely don't want to ignore.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Ertz, he's coming off the injury. He is 100%. If he were more expensive on DK, I'd be a little more concerned. But like at 3,500, and then you can stack him with Wentz, it's just that's such a good start, And
Yep.
and since this is a starting point, I mean, you could throw Jordan Matthews in there too, and he's not even too expensive. And
Yep.
yeah, no, I'm with you on this.
I'm choosing to use that saved salary cap, not for somebody like Jordan Matthews, though. I'm going top end here. I'm trying to find both Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham Jr. Antonio Brown at home is gold, and we don't even need to say more. And I kind of like the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I think Eli Manning's going to have to throw a ton in Green Bay to keep up. The running game again is kind of a confusing mess that I don't think they'll be turning to, given how good Green Bay is against the run. So I think this shapes up to be the week that Odell breaks out.
So there you go. I mean, really at the top, I'm looking at Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham, and like Jordy. If I play Odell, I want to play Jordy too, kind of deal. I actually think like, with a Wentz Ertz lineup, it's kind of possible somehow. So yeah, certainly keep that in mind. A lot of fun combinations. It's always fun when you get that cheap quarterback because you're like, all right, I got so much room to move here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can afford, I mean, one of these kind of tier 2 running backs. I don't think you can get Le'Veon Bell or anything, but CJ Anderson, Todd Gurley, I think could have a surprising week once, people have completely written him off. But he's still getting like 19 carries a week or something. The Rams are favorite at home, and they've been steadily getting better as the season has worn on, to everyone's surprise. It's coming for Gurley too, I feel like. So if you're trying to building this risk reward high upside lineup, he's an interesting one to add in.
So I'm a big Todd Gurley guy, and I was a Rams fan, and they're just hurting me so bad with how they're treating him right now. I like sadly put my Todd Gurley Rams defense correlation plays in there to my lineups. I'm not happy about it. I won't tell anyone to follow me, but I do feel like that's gonna hit one of these weeks, and it's gonna be super low owned with how
Yep.
it's gone so far this year. So yeah, I agree there. Another interesting starting point would be the Patriots with Tom Brady, back from suspension, 7,500 on DK against this Browns team that is just sad, generally speaking. I feel bad for them. But I mean, for Brady, are you looking at Gronk? Are you looking at Edelman? Are you looking at, maybe LeGarrette Blount to team with Brady? How are you playing this, I guess?
Yeah, I think Blount is a pretty safe play this week at running back on a week where there aren't much that I trust cheaper than Blount, let's say. But Brady, yeah, he's the third most expensive quarterback. So you don't have to pay up for him. Like, I think Derek Carr has a great game. I love Carson Wentz, Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers, I think are also going to be good plays. But we have seen this Tom Brady chip on the shoulder, coming off a horrible loss at home, a horrible team loss at home last week. I think the Patriots come out and try to score 50 points. And I think Brady's itching to get out there and do just that. So I'm fine with Brady alone. And that's kind of the lineup that I discussed in the article. But I do have at least one lineup that has Brady, Edelman, and Gronk. I'm just a little suspicious of New England. And not, not as cheaters, not all that narrative, but just that they haven't always been the most forthcoming team when it comes to injury information. And that, then that guy comes out and, goes for 150 and 2 touchdowns. And that guy has often been Rob Gronkowski. So I'm going to go for it a little bit there with Brady's favorite target. I think it's totally possible that Gronk and Edelman have been, almost holding back a little bit because the team's been winning. They know Brady's coming back. They're clearly Brady. They have this, years-long connection with Brady. I think we could see that emerge in a big way.
Yeah, I think as the people say, naked Brady is interesting because he doesn't really, he does lock on to guys, but he's not afraid to throw it to Chris Hogan and Danny Amendola and all those other guys too. Yeah. I did see Julian Edelman
arguably healthier.
Yeah, I did see Julian Edelman pop up on the injury report, and I was going to be all in on him, but now I'm like, well, I'm still going to play him, but probably not in like cash or anything like that.
Exactly. Same for Gronk. Absolutely. Because you're paying top dollar. Yeah. You're paying premium. So.
Exactly. So I guess the other, in terms of top quarterbacks, is he the guy you're looking at really, or is it someone else?
No, I don't think in any stretch he's the top guy that I'm looking at, because I think that, like I said, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Roethlisberger are also going to be, up there in terms of fantasy points. I just think he makes for an interesting starting point.
For a tournament, yeah.
Yeah. And building around him a little bit more security, you can use some of the receivers that I mentioned that are top 10 target guys at very reasonable prices. Again, Michael Crabtree, Emmanuel Sanders, Diggs, as long as the groin injury doesn't get worse or, reports are positive today on the Friday injury report, or Jarvis Landry, who I think is going to be overlooked pretty substantially. Not a terrible matchup, but just a target monster. So those are some of the safe receivers that I would build around Brady in what I would consider a little bit of a safer lineup. Some cash games.
Certainly. And yeah, Jarvis Landry is the Dolphins' run game. Like, I mean, they don't have any above average or above replacement running backs right now. So, I mean, Tannehill just relies on him. He's going to get 10 targets a game, basically. So, certainly agree there. And yeah, Emmanuel Sanders, just a good player, I guess. Yeah. Surprising to me, but he's a really good player.
Yeah.
Are there any other points you wanted to make before we sign off for this week?
In terms of affordable defenses, the ones I'm looking at, to fit some of these more expensive, higher end players that I like, I'm turning to the Bills. We've seen the Bills be very good. We've seen the Bills be very bad this season. Traveling cross country has their price reasonable, I think. But I think they could definitely make some big plays, and this is expected to be one of the lower scoring games. I also like Miami's defense. So what I'm looking for in a cheap defense is the ability to record the events that get you fantasy points: sacks, interceptions, forced fumbles. Miami has 6 forced fumbles and 10 sacks so far, and Tennessee is one of the best matchups for opposing defenses in terms of fantasy points given up. So Tennessee is very mistake prone team. It doesn't score a lot, so I think Miami is kind of a nice defense.
Fair enough. Yeah, that Bills Rams game, I've never been so excited about like a potential defensive like scoring situation, but these two the-
Nothing.
these two offenses are just like, all right, I mean, one of these teams could score two defensive touchdowns
Yeah.
legitimately.
I do. I
Um
mean, I think Robert Woods actually makes for some nice salary relief this week too.
mm, 30 yeah, 3,900 on DK. Certainly not the most imposing player, but yeah, in terms of targets and pretty solid overall. So yeah, no, I like that play. But yeah, overall, I mean, I think these are some good starting points. And as always, if you don't want to look at my pale face as the fall and winter comes, you can check out Renee's article on dailyfantasycafe.com. Obviously, follow her on Twitter. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.
Good luck week 5.